been really uncalibrated the last 2-3 days since the whole miscarriage day. My routine's been a tiny bit off, and I think naturally, so was my mind. So was my various things, my discipline, my willpower, my drive, however you want to coin it. Various different parts of my mind haven't been firing on all cylinders. And I think in some ways my experience in the gym has been an example of that. That even yesterday, I really struggled to mentally connect with power cleans, which has been my favorite movement in the last couple of weeks, and having been properly learning it for maybe 2-3 weeks now. I've been really enjoying it, but yesterday, for whatever reason, I just couldn't connect to the movement. I couldn't dial in, couldn't get it down. And I think it's fair to say that naturally, mentally, I've had a little bit of a blip in the road, and that's fine. There ain't nothing wrong with that. As long as you keep doing your work, you're allowed to have a moment, you know what I mean? There's always going to come periods in your life that are slightly more difficult than others. And to be quite honest, this period hasn't even been as dramatic as that sentence alone would make it sound. But naturally, the last week it's been a strange one. On, what was it? Tuesday, found out that the baby didn't make it. Obviously, that was a bit of a shock. That was quite disappointing, and all the emotions that come with that aren't something you'd experience on a daily basis. But I'd be a liar if I said that, where was it, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'd be a liar if I said that on Thursday I wasn't really over it in many ways. I mean, well, I felt over it. I felt over it in many ways already. And a big reason for that is that I've got clarity on where I'm going next when it comes to making a family. And I have clarity. And with clarity comes a huge sense of ease. And on top of that, because we didn't have a natural miscarriage, and the baby didn't leave her system naturally, she had to get the fetus surgically removed. And that was yesterday. So yesterday, I wasn't thinking about the fact that we lost a baby. I was thinking about the fact that my missus was in surgery. She was at the hospital all day. And with the way the NHS runs this shit, we had to get there at 7:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And there was no guarantee that the surgery was even going to happen that day. She might have just had to stay overnight. And which was, I'm that kind of uncertainty, that fucked with me a little bit. I allowed it to fuck with me way more than I should have. I know exactly how I should have attacked my day. I should have dropped her off, come home, and just got my entire day done ASAP so that I was free and available to go grab her, go pick her up whenever she needed. But instead, I allowed my mind to seek out comfort and just not be as forward moving as I should be. I wasn't in the driver's seat as much as I was. I wasn't in control of the car anywhere near as much as I should have been. Everything that needed to be done, they got done, and then things ended up aligning pretty well from a time perspective. But mentally, I was left, how would I put it? Unfulfilled, I guess you could say. Because as everybody knows, when you let yourself down and when you don't execute your day as well as you should do, it's not as fulfilling as those days that you just attack ferociously and complete with vigor. That shit hits different. Like when your head hits the pillow at the end of the night, like you sleeping good. You sleep like a baby, with a smile on your face, sense of pride. And yeah, unfortunately, I haven't had that since Tuesday. I kind of had that on Tuesday. Tuesday was hard work, and then Wednesday. Funnily enough, Wednesday's video, my brother fucking read me like a book. I guess that's what brothers are for. Well, after watching that video, he was like, bro, I could sense that, like, the miscarriage shit was still very much on your mind, but you just didn't want to talk about it, maybe because you felt like you'd already given it its video and you didn't want to fucking, like, linger on it or give it too much time or whatnot. And he hit the nail on the fucking head. My man might as well have been me and just told me exactly how I felt, which was kind of scary. It was just pretty cool. Yeah, he hit the fucking nail on the head on that one, because the day after the miscarriage video, I'll be real, like, it was still very much on my mind. It wasn't until Thursday where I started to gain more clarity and understand how we was moving forward that I started to be at peace with it a lot more. And then Friday came along and the missus had surgery, and that was all I was thinking about, so I didn't really have time to think about anything else. But yeah, my brother read me like a book, and as a creative himself, he's a musician. He made me aware of the fact that, like, this is a lifetime creation for me, right? On the 100th day, for example, if I had done 10 videos because the miscarriage was on my mind for 10 days, it's not going to be that significant, and it's only going to account for 10% of your videos, let alone if you're doing 1,000 days. When you get to 1,000 days, then that only accounts for 1%. So you can't shy away from really and truly, like, just speaking your mind on these things and being as open and as vulnerable as you can be, because when you're riding the crest of a wave and you're buzzing, like, that's all you're going to want to talk about, and you might talk about that for a little while. And when you're trudging through the troughs of the valley, then you're going to want to talk about that too. And this is going to be very important for you to just be honest with yourself in many ways and allow yourself to heal, I guess. I'll never forget a bar I got from Jay-Z. It's in the 444 album, but I remember it really resonating with me when he did an interview. I can't remember who with. It was a 2-part interview, black and white. Some of you may have seen it. At one of his properties in Malibu, and you just had the sea in the background, black and white. It was an amazing interview, and he was dropping gems in that. And one of the things he said is, what you reveal, you heal. What you don't reveal, you don't heal. And that's something I've been an advocate of for a very long time now. Since being introduced to, putting it simply, like, mental awareness, spiritual awareness, emotional awareness, physical awareness. I feel like physical awareness is something I've always been pretty conscious of, being an athlete as a kid. Like, you're always in tune with your body and whatnot. But mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that was something I was introduced to at like 15, 16. And when I heard, when Jay-Z said that, like, it resonated with me, man. And my brother called me out on it yesterday, and I appreciate that, because he understands. Like, the sick thing about talking to my brother about this shit is that as a musician, like, even though the content that we create is extremely different, he understands that this is my art, you know what I mean? It may not be considered art to most people, and art is extremely subjective, right? And you could argue that this is far less artistic than a song, for example. But nonetheless, he stresses that, bro, this is your art, fam. This is something that you continue to pour yourself into. And the more you do that, the truer it will be, the realer it will be. So one can't be afraid to do that, because even as a musician, he knows exactly what it feels like to almost be fearful of putting too much of yourself into something, and yeah, fearing how it's received. I guess that's just natural. It's a natural human trait. In many ways, we're not yet evolved for the world that we live in. The social media era isn't something that our brains are wired for. Like, we're still much closer to our primate ancestors than we are to what will probably be if we last as long as the next 500,000 years, when maybe our brains have evolved to handle the world of the internet and social media a little bit more. But I guess we'll never know. If you made it this far, thank you again. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow.